No.
Right on.
Welcome to the Prisoner to Painter podcast, stories of inspiration, where we talk about mental health, addiction, religion, becoming a business owner and self-sufficient, to what, when, where, and why. Join us and we can be your local hope dealer.
Inspiration and dedication. I came a long way from sleeping in them pages. I got my life back. I feel amazing. Life's a book, don't get stuck on sad pages. Rainy days with no money. Hard work lead to days that are sunny. Looking back, it was all needed. The problems, the pain, the trauma, the grieving. You are now tuned into the prisoner to painter. Prisoner to painter. Hard work, dedication. Rainy days, inspiration. Prisoner to painter.
And now, a word from your local hope dealer.
Well, we're live, so.
Welcome to the Prisoner to Painter podcast. I'm Nathan McDermott.
And I am Katie McDermott.
And today joining us is Gavin Goodwin. This was a hell of a way to
So-
start. Sorry, guys.
We like to ask now, can you explain to us what you do, who you are?
So, like they just said, I'm Gavin Goodwin. I came up here from Texas.
Okay.
Got married, came up here. She was from Michigan.
Okay.
And now I own an Autoglass company. It's my second go around. I own the fifth largest one in Texas. And just, my wife wanted, or my ex-wife now, but wanted to come up to be closer to family. I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I just got bored one day. I was just like, I hate being at home. Because I was just like, we bought a house, and I was like, I don't need to work.
Yeah.
What do I do? Fixed every hole. We had 5 acres, so I'd go out there and hunt, do stuff with the animals.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm so bored. And I was just applying for jobs, and B-Dubs here in Jackson called me back, and I was like, okay, screw it. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then, a couple months later, I got bored. I was like, I did not want to work in a restaurant again.
Yeah.
I hate this.
Okay.
And I met a gentleman there, Brett Schaus, and him and I became very close. And I looked at, he was a single dad, still is. And I just looked at him one day and I was like, hey, do you want to do something more? Because him and I have been hanging out for a minute. He brought me to my first EDM show.
Right.
And just hanging out and just getting close. And he was there with me when me and my wife split up. So he was very close with me.
Okay.
And so it was like, my mom, unfortunately, has been passed away.
No.
And, thank you. And he was like, no, you're coming to our house. So I went out to his Nana and Papa's for Mother's Day. And so him and I just getting really close. And I was like, do you want to just be a cook at B-Dubs for this one? No. All right. Come with me. Let me show you a skill.
Yeah.
So we reopened Autoglass Champions.
Awesome.
Here in Jackson. Or our office is based in Jackson, but we travel all of southern Michigan, northern Indiana, and Ohio.
Okay.
And basically we just, do windshields, door glass, back glasses, any glass that's on a vehicle, basically,
Okay.
and recalibration of the cameras. Because some auto glass shops don't just recalibrate them.
Yeah.
Because some of them don't have the technology.
Yep.
We do that like today. I mean, I've been up since 7:30 replacing glass, driving all over God's creation. So, but basically, yeah, we're just, brand new auto glass company and, starting off from the ground up.
Perfect. Well, you guys did my glass and nothing but good things to say, clearly. Clearly because I wouldn't, I wouldn't have, I probably wouldn't have had you on either, but that'd be being shitty. Well, so here, we started asking Mike, our pastor, and I ain't going to drop his name. He said, man, he was trying to watch some episodes before he came on. He's like, man, you get to the end and then you just find out what they do.
Right.
I said, so why don't you try to ask? And so we're taking his advice. And I think it's been we've only done 2 episodes, but I think it's been beneficial to draw somebody in at first because maybe they just don't want to hear the story. So it gives you the option not to listen, or it gives you the option like, oh, fuck, I want to listen. So we started childhood. I'm sure you watched some of the episodes, so you kind of know what we do.
I always like to ask where you think your story started, and then we jump into the childhood.
So it was probably, I grew up in a military household.
Okay.
My dad was a Marine drill instructor, grandpa. I mean, since 1776 when the Marine started, someone in my family was a Marine. Okay. And my dad was a drill instructor. So he made Marines.
Yep.
My childhood was pretty fun. And, but I remember the way, like, it kind of ties in, but my mom was unfortunately a severe alcoholic. Severe. Like I had my mom, and then I had Rebecca Hampton. I didn't know which one was which at the time. But I was about 8 or 9. I was at the city pool, and I got sorry.
Or your goodness, normally me. So.
But I was at the city pool, and my cousin was shooting this kid with a water gun. The kid was just getting pissed, just mad. And my cousin threw the gun at me, and so this kid thought I was doing it. He came in there and just beat the crap out of me. Black eye, bleeding from the nose. Like, they had to clear the pool out because I almost went unconscious. And my dad just got back from his last tour.
Okay.
And 2 days later, I come home black. And my mom's like, okay, here's some peas. Well, and my grandparents, and we lived next door to my grandparents, and they were like, yeah, you'll be fine. It's whatever. My dad came home just furious. Yeah. No son of mine's going to get his ass kicked nowhere. And that was right around, that was his last time. Like, he was finishing up, and he was like, all right, we're moving out to the ranch. You and your brothers are going to learn how to be men. Okay. And I mean, every day we'd wake up about 5, 6 a.m., go run drills, do everything we needed to, whatever he said. You know, basically he was that type of dad. And guys, hey, if he says jump, we say how high. Yep. How many push-ups? And we'd wake up, you know, he'd wake us up with a bugle and, you know, be like, all right, let's go with a 5-mile jog right now. Shit. And so that was funnish, I guess. Yeah. And then that happened until I was probably 15. And because I went to go live with my mom again. Okay. Well, she came back, kind of got her stuff together. I was like 14, 15 roughly. Okay. She got her stuff together for the most part, opened up a couple restaurants. Damn. I was actually born in Red Lobster in Arlington. My mom was the proprietor of the restaurant. She taught me out. Okay. So my mom was very experienced in the restaurant field.
Well, it sounds successful too. Yeah, it sounds pretty successful too.
And but unfortunately, back, you know, she just let alcohol and stuff ruin her life, and she had to sell it. This is the image thing. And so, but I remember I was very proud of my mom. She stopped drinking, went to the gym, got addicted to going to the gym, basically, and wanted to see her kids again. Awesome. Started a restaurant, and so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go live with mom again. But I remember when I was 13, I had all my growth spurts in 1 year. Hurt so bad. And like I said, I used to be a little taller, but I've been this big my entire life. Since I was 13, I've been this big. Right. And so I was always bigger than everybody. Yeah. And in Texas, football is king. Yeah. Like, you have God, George Strait, football, and guns, and that's it. And
in that order?
In that order.
Okay.
Yeah. But I remember I played football. I did powerlifting. I did a special type of powerlifting called strongman, which is extreme weight. Yeah. And I broke 3 state records right around there in high school. But I remember every day we ran drills, and I was just bigger than everyone. And my mom and my granny was just probably the best woman I've ever known. She is the pure definition of a saint. Like, I believe there's a special place in heaven for her when she passes away. Yeah, sure. But I remember her and my mom would tell me all the time, she goes, they'd be like, Gavin, you are 10 times bigger than everyone. Mm-hmm. You can, and I remember I'd be playing football, or like even like shaking another kid's hand, like crumbling their hand. Yeah. And my mom goes, you can't go through life just acting like you're the biggest guy. Mm-hmm. So they taught me some humility, but also like, it's okay to be as big as you are, but be gentle. Mm-hmm. And it took me a minute to realize, but I remember playing football and just running, like they nicknamed me Food Truck because I was as big as them. Yeah. I mean, there was time, like, I picked my brother, he got stuck with the football in his mask. I picked him up, threw him on my shoulder, and just ran him to the ankle.
Damn.
And it was, I would hold like 5 guys back. And, but again, I was just bigger. Yeah. But I remember, and it kind of stuck with me. And they sat me, because I can't remember what we did, but I heard a kid. Like, I heard a fellow schoolmate or something. Okay. And I didn't mean to. I just was just big. Yeah. And I remember I went to go pat him on the back, and I just hit him so hard he fell to the ground. Oh shit! And he had a welt on the back, and I didn't realize. Yeah. And I got suspended for a couple days for it, and they realized I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
But coincidence.
Yeah. Well, still got to punish you.
Yeah, still got to punish,
Yeah.
So, well, I remember they just sat me down. They're like, "Yeah, you got to be a little gentle. You're bigger than everyone.
Yeah.
And you just got to be a little more gentle." And I mean, like, I was given natural strength. I grew up on a ranch.
Yeah.
So, I mean, throwing hay bales. I mean, I used to ride broncs and, bronking horses, taking cattle down by their horns. And
strong,
yeah, you have
that.
to.
Yeah.
So it's just something I grew up doing.
Cowboy shit.
Yeah, pretty
Cowboy
much. Yeah.
shit, yeah.
And that's what Brett calls me all the time. It's a cowboy. And I still wear steel toe boots and usually jeans. But so yeah, I remember doing that. But it was always a contradiction because my dad was like, "No, you have to be the strongest guy. You have to be, this strict and this strong." And then my mom and my granny were like, "You are bigger than everyone. Be gentle. Be, be a protector."
Yeah.
And I kind of took that in both. I was like, all right, cool. So don't protect the little guy, protect the people around me.
Yep.
I've always had that like white knight type of mentality. There's a difference. Like, I don't have a God complex. I have a savior complex. I just want to make sure everyone's safe.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it kind of leans into that. And I remember that's when I went to go live with my mom again. And to kind of get away from my dad and that mentality of, it was very toxic. And he was just the definition of a dick. He really was.
Look it up in the dictionary.
Yeah, my dad. Like, I'm an asshole. I think there's a difference between being an asshole and being a dick.
A dick. Yeah.
I'm blunt and just say it how it is, but I'm not trying to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
A dick is trying to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
But I remember I went to go live with my mom, and she taught me a lot about life. I graduated high school at 16.
Okay.
Good job.
Yeah.
My mom was a single mom of a bunch of kids.
Okay.
And it was not like I wanted to. In Texas, you can just go take your tests.
Okay.
You can just go up to the high school and be like, "Hey, I'm done. Here's your final test. It's in like a week or two.
Yeah.
Study." Passed it, barely. But passed it.
Hey, pass. Yeah.
So I remember my mama needed help. So, I got a full-time job. I was working on my uncle's ranch part-time.
Okay.
Not really part-time, but for the hours of a cowboy, it was part-time.
Yeah.
And just so I could help my mom with bills. And I bought my dad's old truck. It had a 95 Ford Bronco. Still have it. It's in Texas. It's so awesome. Yeah. It's my favorite truck. And I won't bring it up here because I don't want it to rust.
Yeah,
that's my baby.
Give it 5 years, it'll be rotten out up here.
Yeah, it's staying down there in Texas. But she taught me a lot about, like, she owned her own restaurants. So I remember learning how to run a business, do the books, keep a professional face at all times. Because I remember we'd go to the grocery store and everyone was like, "Oh, hey, Rebecca." She couldn't just be like, no, going this way. She'd be like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" But my mom was from New Jersey, so she was very talkative. She had pink hair. She was 5 foot even, and everyone, you could recognize her from a mile.
Especially in Texas.
No
shit.
My hometown. I grew up in a very small town, and very small Christian town, and so my mom was a sore thumb. Like when I say a small, like graduating class was 4. Not 400, 4. Me and 3 others. I didn't even go to mine. I was working. But so let me tell you, this was a small town. It's gotten bigger now, but very small town. And
it's like a village.
Pretty much. Yeah. I knew everybody. I knew everyone. Everyone knew me. And but she needed some help. And then she unfortunately, I can't remember exactly what happened. Basically she was at her peak.
Wow.
And then one bad thing happened, and you know what they would say: when you get to your peak, it's all downhill.
Yeah.
She got her peak, and she went downhill. So she was a felon for something she didn't actually do. Mm-hmm. She was involved in it because she was there.
Yep.
And when she was 18, and it
sticks with you forever, dude. It does. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Was it an acquired felony?
Yeah, so her boyfriend stole a bunch of saving bonds from a cookie store, and my mom was in the car. She didn't know he worked there, so she just thought he was going in there to close shop or whatever. Yeah. And they pulled him over, 10 miles down the road. They were, at Makeout Point or whatever, and he asked my mom. He had a football scholarship. He's like, "Can you take this for me? When you get out, I'll be here for you." well, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
She said yes.
Yep.
So yeah, went to prison, got a
Damn.
felony. Yeah,
They went to prison over it too, though. It wasn't just like
it was like $50,000 worth of
Okay,
savings.
yeah.
And this was in the 80s.
so that's a lot
That
of
was a
coins.
lot.
Yeah, dude.
So the savings bonds were 50,000. So whatever their required amount was probably a lot more.
Yep.
So it was just like, all right, I thought that was stupid. I was like, well, I definitely wouldn't do that. So I grew up. It was another thing I loved growing up with was because I got to watch my mom. I didn't like it, but I watched my mom go through life just with everything against her.
Mhm.
She was never allowed to have anything in her name because she was a felon.
Yep.
No bank was ever going to approve her.
Yep.
So one of her friends, her name was actually, but was like, hey, how about this? I'll be the silent partner. Everything goes in my name. You have it.
Yep.
Like, awesome. She even bought my mom a house.
Nice.
Yeah, a really nice house.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a live-in girlfriend at the time, and so we all worked, and so we moved into this beautiful house downtown. And I think she moved out to the Virgin Islands
Damn.
to do something.
The final part of
Yes,
your
the
mom.
final
Oh,
part.
okay. I'm
No,
like,
no,
damn. Dude, she made some real money, dude.
She had a pizza studio. It was a New York style pizza studio,
Oh, wow.
and it was all rock themed. So all that was, Led Zeppelin,
Like
Incubus.
Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah,
and
all that.
shit.
It was
Hell
awesome.
yeah. Hell
And it took people a minute to be like, okay, we'll try it.
yeah.
And then they loved it. They loved my mom. Everyone loved it. And at that.
Yeah.
And well, her silent partner, all the hurricanes happened. So they all got flooded out. I mean, a gallon of milk down there was like $10.
Damn.
So they're like, we're coming back home. Took the house back from my mom. So we had like a week to find somewhere else to live.
Mhm.
We did. Got into a smaller house, but it was still a house. It was nice.
Yep.
And then she got mad at my mom because everyone liked her and didn't know who she was.
Yep.
Because she went there to be like, hey, I'm going to come to work now. We're going to do this together. And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. But my mom already had everything set up the way it needed to be done.
Yep.
Well, her silent partner didn't like that because it wasn't her way.
Yep.
So she said, all right, well, I'm going to take the business back and basically you can go that way. And yeah. And my mom went back into, alcoholism. And I remember this is kind of what set me off in the world was, I was making a burger. It was like 8 p.m. My mom was passed out on the couch drunk. I just made a burger. She would wear silk socks for some reason. And it was like tile, kind of like this in the kitchen. I was making a cheeseburger and it was grease everywhere. And I was too loud, apparently. She came in there yelling at me, telling me to go in my room, stop fucking cooking. You're too loud. I can't sleep. I'm like, 8 p.m. What do you mean?
Yeah.
I just got home from work.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, fine. Not really threw a fit. I was like, all right, turned off the stove, went in the bedroom. And she went in there, bit it, slipped, and fucking her back went into the stove. And so she's drunk. She lashes out on me, get the fuck out of my house. You're not allowed here. And I was like, okay. So I had my girlfriend and we loaded up all our stuff, put it in the Bronco. We just drove. I didn't know where I was going. I just called my dad, and my dad's in the oil field. So he's gone for 20 days straight.
Shit.
And I was like, Dad, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
He goes, do you want to come? He just got remarried, and he goes, I don't have anyone to watch the house right now. Do you just go there, watch the house, and you can live there?
Awesome.
And then when your stepmom gets out of prison, because my dad had a type.
Sounds like
yeah.
it is. Okay.
Well, and then so now, like my new stepmom, she's wonderful.
Awesome.
She's never been in prison. But I remember, yeah. My dad very much had a type.
That's funny, man.
Yeah. I can't remember a girl that wasn't my new stepmom that we wouldn't make collect calls and go to, go see them.
Sorry, I never laugh at anybody's
But
story,
it's
but that's
funny.
funny.
It's
That's
funny.
fun. Okay.
But no. It is funny because I'm like,
Some contrasting.
and
Yeah.
and they always had kids. My dad would always adopt kids from these women. So I do have siblings, and most of them are from my dad's last relationship. I love them to death. Like they're my siblings.
Yeah.
I love them. They're little shits, but I love them. And so he's
Spoken
hey,
like a true sibling.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, let's
Yeah.
just be real.
But the best thing that could have ever happened to them was definitely my dad.
Awesome.
And I love. But my dad was like, "Hey, go watch the house until Rayla gets out of prison, and you can live there. And then after that, get a job."
Yep.
Got you. Yep, let's do it.
Okay.
So I go there. My dad would send me some money, for food and stuff.
That's it.
And this was when everything was cheap. So you $20 would last a week and a half.
Yeah.
So we would do that. My dad had everything that you could have, and huge TV, great Wi-Fi, something else. Love it. Let's do it. I'd go do the yard work. If anything needed to be done at the house, I did it. And then my dad would come home, and we'd go see Rayla or go get my siblings because they couldn't live with him yet until he got the paperwork.
Yeah.
But we'd go get them, and they'd come over. And I did talk to my mom, and I was with my dad again, and he was like, "You want to go to the gym?" And my dad was trying to rebond, basically. Let's go to the gym. You want to go shoot guns? Yeah, let's go shoot guns. You want to go ride a bike? And then he loved riding motorcycles.
Cool.
And then I bought my first bike. And me and my dad really didn't bond too well, especially after he treated us and stuff. I really don't want to get into what he did to us, but he had one type of parenting style when we were younger. And when my siblings came into the picture, his parenting style changed and got way better.
Understood.
But it also, at first, I was like kind of sour about it.
Yeah.
Like, why?
You treat me like this, and I get it.
And so they got like the soft side of dad, and I got the drill instructor, dictator dad.
Yeah.
And I knew how to do Brazilian jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts by the time I was 13, 14. Which was a good thing, but the way he did it was very much like strict.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so we tried to rebond. I would fix his bike for him every time he screw something up on it. We'd go to the ranch and do cattle and stuff when he was home. But I remember just trying to rebond with my dad, and it just felt like, or he would just be like, "Hey, here's $500. I love you.
Awesome.
All right, bye. Go back to work." And he'd pay me to take care of my siblings here and there.
Cool.
And then, so that was basically. And then I remember when I was 17, I don't know, sorry, let me rephrase that. When I was 16, my stepmom got out of prison.
Okay.
And she seemed very sweet, and she was for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was my dad's only child.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of the odd one out.
Yep.
And she made sure to treat me that way. And my dad never gave a shit.
Yeah.
Not really. It was expected to me and my girlfriend at the time to do all the housework, take care of the kids, go pick them up, and go to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were basically Cinderella this whole time.
Yeah.
And it sucked. And I remember I would tell my dad, he wouldn't care. He kind of was like, and go away.
Yeah.
And it just kind of got to me one day. I remember me and my dad would start getting in these like little verbal arguments. And my mom came over to reconnect.
Okay.
And this is when COVID just started.
Okay.
I had to kick Rayla out right before that happened because she was using substances in my youngest brother's bedroom.
Oh,
I remember coming home at like 3 a.m. because I worked at Taco Bell at the time, it closed. And I remember coming home, and my youngest brother's name's Bronson. He's something else. He was sitting on the couch just watching TV at 3 a.m.
Yeah, you're probably like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was like, what are you doing? Go to bed. And he's autistic and has a cleft palate.
Okay.
So I couldn't understand everything he was saying sometimes. And he was like 5 or 6 at the time. So it's not like he could form a sentence either. So I'm like, and I'm dog tired. I'm like, Bronson, go to bed. And he goes, I can't. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's trying to tell me. And I'm like, go to bed. So I walk into his bedroom and I see these needles.
Oh.
And I just get filled with rage. And I'm like, you're in your youngest son's bedroom shooting up? Are you fucking kidding me? With another man?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Just some random dude.
Ooh to begin with, but extra ooh.
Right.
That's a double ooh.
Yeah.
So for a year, my dad's taking care of this woman and her kids, and like fully.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm being forced to do everything, and her kids aren't like. And her response to them not having to do certain things was they go to school. I'm like, well, I go to fucking work for 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
I worked part-time at Taco Bell and a factory that made PVC pipe.
Okay.
So I'm like,
both kind of crap jobs.
yeah, they're like, I was like, well, I'm working on my feet all day.
Yeah.
They're going to school for like 6 hours total.
Yeah.
How is that in any way, shape, form harder than what I do?
Yeah.
And she never had a response. when I found that out, I called my dad, and come to find out her boyfriend, or whatever you want to call it, was a very low member of the Aryan Brotherhood.
Oh, jeez.
So there was just another thing.
Yeah.
And so I called my dad, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? And he goes, kick them the fuck out. And I was like, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I went in. Behind my door was a 357 Magnum lever action. Grabbed that, went in there, cocked around. I was like, get the fuck out of my house. And they're like, it's not your house. I'm like, well, it ain't yours. You're not married to dad.
Yeah.
Technically, this is my house.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out. I will call the cops. You are trespassing currently.
Yeah.
So she packs like a bag. She's foaming at the mouth because she's just shot up.
Yeah.
And
Well, and Texas is very lenient on their gun rights, anyways, right? So
more or less,
Okay.
yes. So we have a castle law. We don't actually have a shoot first law in Texas.
Okay.
If you're in my house and I shoot you, that's your fault.
Understood.
That is not my fault.
Understood.
You are in my property.
No matter the orientation of the person, like say they're still in your house but they're leaving, does that matter?
Yeah, you can't shoot them in the back.
Okay.
Okay.
I was just
you
curious.
can't shoot them in the back.
Well, 'cause that's an ongoing thing that
Is
people
it-
think
is
is
this-
true, and I'm like, I don't think that's true anywhere.
Yeah, you can't shoot someone in the back.
So shoot to kill, basically. Like if they're in
Well,
there.
It's it's hard to say. In Texas, it's depending on the reason. So my dad always lived with this philosophy, and like I was in the Marines too,
Mhm.
and we always had this philosophy of it's usually better to have one side to that story, because
Yeah.
if that guy can falsify something,
Yeah.
and that jury believes him, or it's just longer court case
Yeah.
of like, oh, I was trying to leave but walking towards him,
Yeah.
and or whatever it may be. My
I
dad,
like the way you worded that. It's better
Yeah.
to have one side of
it's usually better to have one side of that story. I will make sure that is my side of that
Yeah,
story
yes,
every
sir.
time.
Yeah.
And luckily, I did not have to do any of that. They left.
Awesome.
I changed the locks the next day,
Good stuff.
but it kind of got to me because my dad was like, hey, so she ran straight to the Aryan Brotherhood.
Mhm.
I remember her on the phone talking to the captain who I used to work with. Didn't know that until after. Or sorry, not him, his wife worked at the barbecue restaurant I used to work at.
Okay.
And my girlfriend at the time still works there.
Mhm.
So I remember she was on the phone with him trying to put an SOS on my dad, smash on site,
Mhm.
and was like, they were asking her for payment. He was like, take his bike, take all his shit. And my dad had like $30,000 or $40,000 worth of guns in the closet.
Mhm.
His bike was brand new and whatever. He had gold and silver.
Yep.
And she was like, yeah, take all that. And I heard that, and I told my dad, and we had cameras and stuff, but that doesn't really stop.
Okay, we're gonna protect
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So my dad was like, do you mind staying home every day until I'm home? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, I'll pay you. I was like, okay, that's awesome. Whatever. He goes, you're trained to do this. Just do it.
Oh.
Yes, sir. I remember sleeping on the couch every night. It was like, there was a couch and then like a sunroom, the front door, and there was a little wall. So from the couch, I could see the back door was right here, then the front door. My bedroom was right behind me. My bedroom had no windows.
Okay.
And then my two brothers' rooms were right in front of me. So I knew from the couch I could see or hear everything.
Yeah.
But I remember they're like, I didn't leave that couch like almost ever. Gun, like a rifle in
Mhm.
my hand. There was usually either a revolver or, a CZ in my holster. And I mean, I always carried a handgun anywhere I went, but, so it started getting to me. I remember, and then my sister, like we started getting fights because my sister wanted to, be loud and I'm sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's not fair to her that I'm mad.
Yeah.
I should be mad at dad.
Yep.
Let's move.
Okay.
And I remember him and I got in kind of arguments about it. And he should bring back, well, this is your family. This is your siblings. You got to protect them. It's like, you're right.
Yep.
You're right, Dad. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Let's get it done.
Mhm.
And one night I fell asleep and I remember hearing like wrestling in my brother's room, or Caden and Auden, they shared a room. And they had this huge window, like almost the size of this wall, but it was all like different panes.
Okay.
And I remember there was one on the bottom right corner that was busted out, just big enough for a skinny guy about your size could probably fit through.
Yep.
I definitely couldn't. I didn't know what I was hearing. I thought he was playing video games or something. And so I didn't think anything too much of it. Well, then I heard the glass. I'm like, well, he's not sneaking out. He's a lonely nerd.
Yeah.
So he's staying in the house playing video games.
Yeah.
So I kind of go in there And I guess I see this figure, slightly wider than you, shorter, and he has a knife. Like he's crawling through this window, and I can see it through the crack. And at first, I didn't know what to do. I was like,
Yeah.
And I see him stand up, and I open the door to make sure it wasn't Auden, my other brother. I didn't know, because like we all had knives, so they liked my knives, so sometimes they were playing with. I open it, and I see, scruff. I see this is a man. I said, like, do not recognize this person. And I point my gun, and I'm like in the center hallway. So, and we had a camera in the living room, so it can see me. I'm basically where that sheet is, and I'm in the hallway, and the camera can see me, and I'm pointing at this guy. I kind of stumble over my words because I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do I do? And it kind of, my dad just kicked into my brain, your side of the story. And then I gave him one warning. He's like, dude, you can walk to the door and leave through the front door or crawl out that window.
Yeah.
Those are your only two options. And he said, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said no. And it's something. And then started charging at me. So I shoot him straight in the chest.
Damn.
And before I could cock another round, he falls to because of 357 from 10 feet away.
You ain't gonna really get up after that. Yeah.
And I remember dropping my rifle, and my hands are numb. My body's numb. I remember going to grab my phone, call 911. Hello, this is Gavin Goodwin. I live on so-and-so road. I need an ambulance and a couple officers. Someone broke into my house and I shot him. I gave him one warning. And the camera caught all of it.
Yeah.
So luckily that court case there was no court case.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Self-defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they took him to the hospital. He did pass away.
How old were you at this time?
15.
That's a big burden to carry at 15, dude.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. I've always had this, I'm very autistic.
Okay.
So my brain's never been like, I had that savior complex still, but I'm just like, this is my family.
Yeah.
I didn't care about that guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know him. I don't even know his name. I still never knew. Like, I didn't want to know.
Yeah. Well, it's probably better. Yeah. It's probably better not to ask the guy that, unfortunately.
But it felt weird. I felt dead inside for a while. So I didn't care.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my youth pastor at the time, because obviously everyone knew.
Yeah.
And they were like, Gavin, it's not that you don't care. It's that you were protecting your family from someone who was going to hurt them.
Yep.
Because the guy thought it was me in that. He didn't know it was my little brother.
Understood.
He was part of the Aryan Brotherhood. He went there to harm my family, or me, and my dad. Because they knew if they could hurt me, it would have hurt my dad. But then my dad would have killed all of them.
Yep.
And then I saw him over my little brother. And just straight went into basically this combat mode and was just like, get out.
Yeah.
And I remember the day I found out he passed away. I would check in quite a bit with the hospital. And
do you think you were hoping that he lived?
yes,
Like,
absolutely,
it's a
yeah.
bag.
Oh, 100%.
Good.
I don't think taking a life is not easy, especially at 15. My brain wasn't even fully developed yet. My consciousness was still trying to gather who I was as a person.
Yep.
And I was 15 or 16, and I kind of I chalked it up and pushed it away for years as protecting my family. Don't give a shit. Who cares? And then my dad, I remember my dad said, it should have been a one and done. Why did he survive? And I'm like, Dad, I just killed somebody.
Yeah, no shit.
And then I remember it's like after that, he still expected me to stay on the couch. Like I was still expected to guard the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it kept getting to me. And I'm like, I can't do that again.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah.
Not for no reason, but just like, this is my family, but it's not my family.
Yeah.
These are my little, like I should be playing video games and going to school
and doing the same thing they're doing.
Doing the same thing they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm expected to stay on this couch or in this house protecting it 24/7. And my dad just didn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him and I got into a fighting match. And I said, fuck this, fuck you, I'm leaving. He goes, you don't have anywhere to go. You're not gonna live with your mom.
Yeah.
I went straight to the Armed Forces office, signed up for the Marines. When I came back with my paperwork, I threw it at my dad and said, fuck you, I'm leaving. And like 4 months later, I think 6 months later, somewhere around there, shipped out to San Diego.
Okay.
Did it all, got top remarks. I was still a little chubbier. I was also a little taller as well. And
So I got evened out.
yeah, kind of evened out. It's like 210, 215. They wanted me at 2 even.
Okay.
So like they wanted to send me to fat camp almost.
Damn.
And I was like, no, let me do it.
Yep.
And my dad was a Marine drill instructor. So, and the guy that my instructor was actually a guy my dad served with.
Okay.
So I was like, so he knew who I was, like the people out there.
Did it make it better or worse?
Worse,
carrying?
100% worse. Because as soon as they saw my last name, they're like, oh, we know what to do.
Yep.
But my dad trained me, so I went out there. Me and my brother went together under the buddy program.
Okay.
And his name is Chris. Love him to death.
Mhm.
We went in together, and we loved it. It was just like at home.
Awesome.
It was grueling, but I was like, this is like another day to us.
Mhm.
We love it. And we got top remarks. I had top marksman scores, close quarter combat scores. I mean, it was all stellar achievements.
Awesome.
And I remember I graduated, and we were going to I can't remember exactly what year when we were shipping out. I went to North Carolina.
Okay.
To Camp Lejeune. And
Jesus.
yeah.
No, I'm laughing because those old commercials.
They're not that old a commercial because they didn't find out until kind of
Do you know
what the water?
Yeah, if you were stationed at Camp Lejeune, you might be whatever medical. Whatever.
Yeah, this was a few years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
I do remember that. I didn't have it. I didn't. But I mean, I've lived in pretty bad. Like I lived on a ranch, so as long as there's water pressure, I'm like, I'm good. So, but I was stationed out there, and then they were like, "Hey, guess what? You're going overseas."
Okay.
Now, my brother was in a different unit because they separated us. He went to a different unit. My goal was to go into MARSOC unit, which is like the Marine Special Forces.
Okay.
It's kind of like not exactly the Navy SEALs, but like basically.
Yep.
Like Delta Force and stuff.
Okay.
I wanted to be a sniper. My dad was a sniper. I wanted to be a sniper.
Cool.
And they're like, all right, we gotta go to recon, and then you have to go to training and do all this. I was like, all right, cool, let's go. Well, we were training, just us, like nothing for, like we were just working out.
Yep.
We were doing a log run,
Okay.
which is you, and usually it's like 5 people total, and we just had 4 people.
Okay.
Because we were just bigger. And this, I mean, it's a tree we're carrying. And I remember the 2 guys in the center fell from just exhaustion. So me and the front guy are holding like 1,000+ pounds, and we were trying to move it. And I already had like knee issues and stuff just from living on a ranch and stuff.
Yeah.
And we moved it over. That guy fell. So I'm now by myself holding this log, and I buckled in one knee, and I feel my spine literally compress.
Fuck.
And I pass out.
Oh, shoot.
And they bring me back, and a couple days go. I can't move my feet really. I thought I was paralyzed. I could kind of move my arms and stuff.
Okay.
And they're like, okay. They put my head in a stirrup, and my memory's still kind of fuzzy about it, but I remember they had this thing that looked like a jack, almost like a car jack.
Yeah.
But they were pulling my feet with it.
Oh,
And it was like putting pressure, and they were trying to pull my spine.
dang.
And I remember it popped, and I threw up.
Oh.
And because I don't like being put under, I don't like taking pain medication. I was like, no, I remember kind of just grabbing the side, like, do it. And they pulled, and it went one pop, and I threw up everywhere. I was in so much pain. They're like, we're going to take a second, get him back in order. And then they came back with me with odds. Like, hey, if we do this, you have like a 60 or 80% chance of being paralyzed. I'm like, nope, stop.
Yeah.
Can I walk? And they're like, yeah, with rehabilitation and stuff, yeah, you'll be able to walk and do stuff. And I was like, great.
Yeah.
Do not pull any further.
Yeah, no kidding.
And they're like, all right. They're like, you might not be able to ever serve again. And I
Okay.
was like, okay. So I spent a few more months there, and then they came back and was like, hey, either you got to get better or you got to go home.
Okay.
I was like, okay. I went home
Okay.
because I was like, I'm not risking breaking my back.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, I lost some more weight, got better physically, and was like, all right, I want to try to go back.
Okay.
And as I was driving to because I had to go back and do rehabilitation for the Marines
Okay.
to kind of see if I was fit again.
Yeah.
And I went back, and as we were driving, we flipped a truck,
Mhm.
and the back glass serrated my arm almost entirely in half.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. And so I lost almost all feeling in my hand. And I remember I was laying there, and my girlfriend at the time was in the front seat. I landed in the back seat. I never wore my seatbelt. And the only reason that I didn't, it was the only reason I'm here today. Because the front of the cab, I don't really remember. My parents didn't want to show me the pictures, but it didn't go past my kneecaps.
Okay.
So in this truck, the front was in the ground. And she got out, and I'm laying on the ground, and I'm like, okay, there's blood. Where is it coming from? Not from my nose, not from my mouth, extremities. And I look over, and it was like, like in shows when something bad happens, like the vision gets blurred. Like that's what it looked like. I was like, oh, is that real? And it looked like teeth, like the muscle and everything was just open.
Thawed up.
I mean, it was like this wide.
Oh.
And I remember, like, all right, what do I got to do? And I always had a tourniquet and everything on me. So I took it, put it on my arm, and grabbed this and just like held it shut with some paper towels and stuff, wrapped up my arm and held it shut. They brought me back, did everything they needed to, sewed me up. And I mean, it was probably the second or third worst like moment in my life, especially pain wise.
Okay.
And because I remember feeling them pull out glass and it cutting on the way out.
Yeah, dude, when you pull the glass out, it cuts you again.
I remember holding my mouth shut. I think probably the funniest experience for this was they were getting me, I was a little bigger and just depression and stuff. And I remember they put me on a gurney, and there was like two paramedics trying to lift me. I'm like, y'all are gonna need some more guys. And like, now we do this all the time. And I was like, all right. So they go, nope, okay. They called firemen over to come help, and they put me in this truck, and this guy is on my right, and this lady was on my left trying to put an IV in. And I hate needles with a passion. And the guy's like, hey, grab my kneecap and squeeze. I'm like, dude, if I do that, I'm gonna break your knee.
Yeah.
He goes, no, you won't. I'm like, okay. And I grab it, and it just immediately, as she got close to it, I just tensed up, and I grabbed his knee and popped his kneecap out of place. And I was like, I fucking told you. And then they got us to the hospital and did everything, and like, you're good to go.
Okay.
And yeah, they were like, yeah, you're not going back to the Marines. I was like, okay.
Damn.
So I signed all my paperwork, and now I'm on medical, and I get a disability check from them.
Okay.
And I actually just got a call like a couple of weeks ago from my old sergeant. They're like, hey, we might need you because no one's joining.
Yeah.
And all the whole stuff
Yeah.
right now. And I'm like, I just had a baby. Like, she just turned 2 weeks old the other day. So I'm like,
so being on medical, you're still active or can be active?
they kind of have to like, I have to go to my doctor and get a okay slip basically.
Oh, yeah.
And then their doctor has to do it.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't like now. I don't know if my body can. Like, my back is still screwed up.
Yeah.
And I remember even doing Autoglass. Like, my knees are worse now. Like, I just almost tore my ACL a month ago.
Shit.
And I was in a boot for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And couldn't lift anything. And so I was just like, I want to. Like, if I knew my body would handle it, and maybe because like I'm pretty big. But like, if I could lose 60 pounds,
yeah,
maybe.
Okay.
But I'm like, because like I knew guys that were gone with like missing toes, missing fingers, blown up legs, and they're kind of a little more lenient nowadays.
Okay.
With your injuries.
Yeah.
But like, mine's my back.
It's pretty
one
big
fall.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've fallen off semis. I've fallen off roofs, and I've been like, all right, let me get back up.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know.
Oh, just listening.
Oh, my bad. No, I thought you were looking up. I was like, what are you?
No, I thought I heard some movement upstairs. That happens a lot.
What are you looking at?
But I was like, I don't know if I can do it. And he was like, it's just, maybe not. I was like, no. But it was always my biggest dream was just to be in the Marines, serve my country, and so yeah. I mean, that was basically it. And then, here I am now,
Right on.
basically.
How was the first, like, how long have you been doing the business on your guys' business? And then how was the first, like, period of, like, getting started, finding clientele, things like that?
So, we started this. Well, so I first started this back up here about a year ago.
Okay.
Just doing it like on the side, basically.
Mhm.
And then about Brett and I have been doing this full time about 2 months, 3 months now.
Okay. Right on.
About 3 months. And like I said, this is my second go around
Okay.
with doing Autoglass. And so I kind of had that knowledge of like marketing, how to market this, who to market to,
Yeah.
who to talk to, what to say.
Yeah.
And it kind of explaining that. And it was awesome watching Brett like learn this. Because it was like, I remember when I first started this, I didn't know what to do. I wish I had someone like me to be like, hey, this is what you got to do.
Yep.
But also let Brett kind of learn himself so he can understand, okay, this is what we got to do.
Yep.
I kind of give him the blueprint, like, all right, learn.
Yep.
So, I mean, we go up to like dealerships, talk to dealerships. So we have a Yelp page, we have a business page. We have a business Facebook.
Okay.
All our work, we post every day on Facebook. Like today, we made 2 posts on the vehicles we did.
Okay.
We post every day on content of what we do because I like to show everyone, especially in an industry like this, you want to show people like I did this.
Yeah.
We did this. It wasn't a robot. It wasn't a big corporation. It was me and my best friend.
Yep.
Installed a windshield.
Awesome.
So I love showing people that because I fell in love with this industry.
Okay.
It was just, yeah. And so basically we've been going not really door to door yet. We want to do that next. Basically just like driving around Jackson or Ann Arbor, Lansing, and just being like, if we see someone with a cracked windshield, we might stop and be like, hey, here's our business card. You know, we're not trying to sell you anything. Just, you know, if you want to get replaced, let us know.
Awesome.
But our Yelp and our website been blowing up pretty big lately. Because obviously if you're going on Yelp, you're going for a service.
Yeah.
You're not scrolling on there to see like, ooh, who's
Scrolling that. Yeah.
Like on Facebook, that one's kind of tricky here and there.
Yep.
Because everyone's scrolling on Facebook just to see funny content, see what family's doing. And even for me, like if I see a business page, I'm like,
Yeah, keep scrolling. Yeah, you just keep scrolling.
But I mean, we've gotten a bunch of leads on Facebook as well, but our website and Yelp have probably been the biggest. We probably get right around 2 or 3 leads a day.
Okay.
Obviously it's a numbers game, you know, when, you know, everyone gets quotes and be like, hey, you know, something might come up or like, hey, let me get a couple paychecks in, let me get the money for this.
Yeah.
And our quotes are always good. We don't ever, unless glass goes up significantly, it goes up like $10. I'm like, who cares? Our quotes are always good. I could quote you today and it would still be good in August.
Understood.
Most other places give you only 30 days.
Okay.
I'm like, yeah, you might not need it today.
Yeah.
You might just wanting to look around, or you might have like a little chip in your windshield. And like, it might get bigger, it might not. Here's the price, just in case it does.
Yep.
So yeah, basically that's social media. We don't have a physical location because it's cheaper for our clientele. Because with no overhead, it's like if y'all bought a studio, it'd be a lot more.
Yeah, hell yeah, it would be.
Yeah. So it's the same thing for us. Like we don't need a shop. We run everything out of our home.
Yep.
We have storage for our glass.
Yep.
All our tools fit in a truck. So we take our service truck, we go out to the customer. And it's also more convenient for the customer for me to come to your house like we did with you.
Yeah.
You didn't have to go drop it off. You didn't have to drive somewhere. We came to you while you were at work.
Yep.
We fixed
You
it.
guys did a good job too.
Yeah,
I appreciate
good
that.
job, really.
Like today, we drove to Coldwater, out to Frank's transmission
Okay.
and auto repair.
Yep.
And we were doing one of their trucks for them. And then her niece needed a windshield. And they called us yesterday to get the final quote.
Mm-hmm.
Sent it over and they're like, hey, my niece needs a windshield in Livonia.
Okay.
I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So, but she's like, well, I'll be at work until 4:35. And I was like, I just need your keys. That's all I need.
Yep.
So we went out there, did that truck, drove straight to Livonia, did that vehicle. And I didn't even talk to her until we were done. Like she left it with her receptionist. I got the keys from the receptionist, went down there, found the vehicle, stripped it, put the windshield in.
Awesome.
And as they were closing, she walked out to this brand new windshield
Awesome.
and was happy to look at it. We recalibrated it for her. She was super happy because, you know, especially in Michigan, you have the fix-it ticket for glass.
Yeah.
And hers wasn't too big yet, but it was a big star crack, so it was going to spread.
Yeah.
And she just wanted to get it done before that happens.
Yeah.
And I was super understanding about that, and I liked to, but she was also like, I'm surprised y'all were able to come out the next day. I'm like, yeah, if you call me before 5 p.m., I can order your glass for next day or same day.
Yeah.
So it's like, if we're here in Jackson, if someone needs their glass like same day, like just give me a call before 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Because we get 2 glass trucks.
Okay.
If you call me before 9, I can have it in the morning by lunch.
Mhm.
If you call me before 5, I can have it at 6. So especially right now with it being summer, we still have 2-3 hours of daylight left.
Yeah, no
after
kidding.
that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, if I can drive a couple miles, yeah, we can replace it the same day.
Awesome.
But yeah, she was super appreciative about us just coming out, and it was just also building that relationship with that company as well. And we were what was it, on that first truck we were $100 cheaper, and then on her vehicle we were almost $400 cheaper than Safelight,
Damn.
because Safelight charges for recalibration.
Well, say like jacks everything.
Yeah, they
up,
jack
too,
everything
right?
up, yeah. The average price to recalibrate your camera is $250 to $600.
Oh, shit.
But Safelight and a lot of these other companies, they won't tell you until you're there and be like, all right, well, what's this random few $100 bill?
Yeah.
And we had to recalibrate your camera. We don't charge for that because it doesn't cost me anything to recalibrate your camera.
Okay.
It doesn't cost me anything.
No.
It costs me for the glass and the labor. Yeah. So that's what I charge for.
Okay.
I don't charge for recalibration, and I don't charge for travel. We come out to you, like today we drove 300 miles today,
Awesome.
and none of that we charge the customer for. Because again, it's not your fault you live here.
Yeah.
And so why, and we're making a decent amount of profit margin where I'm not like crying about it.
Understood.
As long as I can make $80 to $100 a job to feed my family, put gas in that truck, who cares? And also, pay rent as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we drove out there and they were super happy, and we've driven to Bryan, Ohio to do.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it might not be a whole lot of money, but we're here to be of service for these people.
Well, the networking goes a long way, dude.
It does, yeah.
Because
Word
I
of
just
mouth.
made relationships with
Yeah.
3 different cities, or three different cities in 2 different states. That's
Yeah.
just like that. you
Oh,
know?
yeah.
So
Yeah, because they might know somebody in Lansing or in northern Indiana that's like, no, I have a fleet of trucks that I need today.
Well, I give about a 10-minute warning. We're about at the 10-minute mark. So in 10 minutes, we'll do our wrap-up question. B, I thought I knew your story.
Yeah.
There is some shit that just fucking jumped right part of my mouth. I'm trying to get better. Not just because of your episode. I'm trying to get better. But, there's some stuff that jumped right at me.
Yeah.
It's crazy because people can have a good childhood
Yeah.
and still find themselves with some traumatic events in there.
Absolutely.
It's like you can be raised great and still find some like
yeah.
shit in there. Katie, you got anything?
Um,
'Cause if not,
what's the hardest vehicle to change the windshield on?
Oh, let's see. Surprisingly, I want to give you the easiest as well. Surprisingly, the easiest one I've ever done was a supercar. It was a Ferrari, one of their high-end cars.
okay.
Cut off glass, put it in. There was nothing else to it.
Okay.
But you also don't want to scratch the paint.
Yeah.
But probably the hardest vehicle that I've ever done. I personally don't like Fords,
Okay.
especially F-150s and bigger, because they're also like tall.
Yeah.
Like F-250s are like, and I mean, Brett, he's like this tall.
Yeah.
So it's like today he was trying to do stuff. He's like, I'm just not tall. And so that does suck. That's another thing. I don't understand why glass shops charge a certain amount for every vehicle. They're pretty much all the same.
Okay.
Some of the like clips and stuff are different moldings, but it's literally just you cut it out and you throw the new one in. You glue it, and that's really much. That's really it. But definitely, I would say the F series for Ford is the hardest because every 4 years they change their frame so drastically.
Okay.
So like I'll go to like today we did an 03 and the cowling had clips, it had screws, it had all these, and it's 3-piece. I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Because we'd go to move it and I'm like, oh, there's another clip. Let me go get my other tool.
Yeah.
And the mirror is pressure clipped on. So you need 3 tools to pull off this mirror.
Yeah.
As in everyone else, it's just a little screw. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Okay, great. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, they make
Love
it hard on
Yeah.
you, don't they?
They don't. And yeah. And I remember I had an old technician when I was still in Texas. His son was an engineer for Peterbilt.
Okay.
And at any time they would make a new truck and he didn't like it, we'd call his son and be like, hey, can you not fucking do that next time, please? Can you be better at your job? I hate replacing the glass on this. And I always do. And it's just the other hardest thing that can be on a vehicle is previous technician. Because if you don't do it correctly, it makes my job harder. We took out a glass a few weeks ago where it was like almost 1.5 inches thick. So my coal knife, which is a little just knife, we cut it out manually, can't get through it. So I'm like, all right, cool. And we have an extractor that does it, but I'm like, if I can just, rip it out, I'm gonna rip it out.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, previous technicians really make it hard.
Okay.
Now again, I want to find them and be like, hey, stop doing Autoglass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go find something else. But yeah. Besides that.
So Van, you said you were you didn't say this, but I know this. So you were Brett's manager at B-Dubs. Did you hire in as manager? Or did you work
I
your way
did,
up?
yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I had previous manager experience.
Okay.
I was a manager at Bob Evans,
Okay.
McDonald's, stuff like that. My mom's restaurant.
So that's why you said you didn't want to get back into the restaurant.
I had previous. Yeah.
Okay.
And it also kind of hurt because my mom has been dead.
You said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my mom had her other restaurant she had was a sports bar.
Okay.
So I was like, I want to go to B-Dubs, kind of be closer to my mom.
Yeah.
But then it started to also kind of hurt because I'm like, I want my mom. I remember serving wings with my mom, taking care of drunk people with my mom.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this really sucks.
Yeah.
And also I also live an hour away.
Yeah.
So I mean, when I we'd close at midnight.
Where the hell do you live?
I live past Hillsdale.
Son of a bitch, I would have got him a gas cart instead. My bad.
No, you're good.
I thought you lived in Jackson, dude. Oh, fuck.
No.
Well, because
So much cheaper.
normally out of town guests that do gas cards,
Yeah.
in town guests that do
No,
something.
you're good.
Okay.
I drive here every day.
That's an everywhere thing.
Okay, you're right, but still,
Yeah.
I'm like,
No,
what
you're
the
good.
hell? Okay. Damn, where the hell do you live?
Right past Hillsdale.
Okay.
So like from our office, it's 45 minutes.
Okay.
Roughly.
Okay.
But like with the semis and everything, at night,
Yep.
especially with the deer.
Hour.
Yeah, an hour.
Easy.
And
easy. Yeah.
I remember like when I was at B-Dubs, I just hated because I wouldn't leave until 1 a.m.
Okay.
So I'd be driving on like needles because of deer.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it just kept getting exhausting.
Yeah.
Leaving that late.
And get home at 2:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And I mean, now I just hate to drive because I make it twice a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's been nights where I slept on Brett's couch and I'm like, dude, I cannot drive home.
Gotcha.
I'm sleeping here.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, we got to be here in the morning anyway.
Yeah. I'll see you in 5 hours.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah. And I do not miss B-Dubs at all.
Okay.
I miss the simplicity of it, and that's it.
Gotcha.
Because I didn't have a lot to man. I mean, this is my business, so I had to worry about every inch of it. And that's I only miss the simplicity of it. The rest of it, I do not.
Understood.
I hated that 9 to 5.
Dude, I don't know that.
It's the dog.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
dude, I started hearing, I'm like, fuck, well, I know you carry. I'm like, buddy,
Yeah.
you might have fucking
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, who the fuck in my house, man? Sorry, but
No, you're good.
this is why we do it live,
Right.
because of stuff like this, something, whatever. But in the same token, when it's live, and I'm like, I can't go fucking look upstairs because I'm
No
gonna read it.
kidding.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
so what's going on? Man,
And this is the worst possible space to be in if someone breaks into your home.
yeah, didn't know access.
Because you have to go upstairs.
Yeah.
And you have to round that corner.
Yeah.
And then you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Good thing I have an outdoor door right there. But then they're in my house.
Right.
Like,
And then
yeah.
you have to go back in.
Yeah.
Come back in the front door.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
we
can go
lock
back
it.
over.
Yeah.
I can go to the back door.
Yeah. The glass door. No
Yeah.
shit. Dude, A, thank you for your service. B, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
I feel like we didn't touch even the skin of some stories, dude. It's so
Yeah.
good. There's so much in depth. If you ever want to come back on, I would
Oh,
like to
absolutely.
formally invite you
Yeah.
on.
Maybe one day with Brett, if we
Okay.
can get him to talk with people,
Yeah.
not just by himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Brett.
I do too, but that is
He knows it too.
yeah. I know he
I
knows.
don't know how many times we're customers. I'm like, hey Brett, shut up.
Yeah.
Let them get a word in.
Yeah.
Or he's be quoting somebody and he's like talking for 20 minutes. I'm like, they won't go.
Yeah, they just want the number.
They just want a price.
Yeah.
No, I think that's like another reason Brett and I get along. It's because him and I both talk.
Gotcha.
Like I'm from the South. All we do is talk.
Yeah.
And that's why him and I get along so well.
Well, and people do want to be able to connect. So being able to talk is good.
I don't know how many times he's thanked me for just letting him talk.
Yeah.
Troy, I'm not telling him that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You can see it when I'm not saying
we're
it.
not saying that.
I'm not saying it,
We're not
Troy.
saying that.
Yeah, he just texted me something for Thursday. I'm not gonna say it either. I don't know, Troy. We'll see. Cracker Jacks, Troy.
Hey, somebody, Rich, I'm not going to say his name, but somebody just bought that out too.
Did they?
Yeah, it's under new ownership.
Yeah, he kidnapped me one day and brought me to Cracker Jacks.
There you go.
He was like, "No, you're going to a strip club."
Yeah,
Yeah, you are.
One to Jackson.
Yeah. And he was like, "No, you're going."
Yeah.
And I've spent a couple nights with Troy, and I call it babysitting with Troy when he drinks that much.
Yeah.
But I love Troy.
Yeah.
And being friends with Troy and Brett, it's an adventure.
Yeah.
It's being an adventure.
Yep. I
Um,
can only imagine because you're
Yep.
a lot closer with him. I can
Yep.
only imagine.
and right now with Brett and Troy, it's like having divorced mom and dad,
Yep.
and it's like they're always like, "What did he say? What did he say?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm
Just get back together.
They're heterosexual life partners.
Yeah.
kiss him.
Yeah. Get back together. Jeez, man.
Go smack him on the butt and kiss him.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
he'll be okay."
Yep. And maybe you guys will get along again
Yep.
instead of crying. But what's your definition of success?
Being able to go home and not mean like I had a good day, I did something with the day,
Okay.
I helped somebody. I just think being able to go home at night mean like,
Okay.
and, like I did something today.
Right. Is there anything that I didn't ask that I should have?
No, I've never done one of these, so that's kind of hard to think. I don't know. I would think maybe asking where I want to see this in a few years, or where I want to see my life in a few years.
Perfect. Where do you want to see your
Yeah.
life in a few years? That's why I asked that question.
Right.
Seriously, that is why. Yep.
So,
Yep.
a lot of people don't know, but I'm moving back to Texas.
Okay.
In a few years, not anytime soon.
Gotcha.
In a few years, and my biggest goal is to have our Autoglass shop here just set, where everyone's like, "Oh yeah, let's go call Autoglass champions. Let's go call Gavin and Brett."
Okay.
And then when I move to Texas, I want to start it up again there and have a shop here for my friends, like Troy,
Mhm.
maybe Dylan Kern, all our friends that I've made along the way with them.
Awesome.
I want to give them an opportunity
Mhm.
for them here, and so when I can go home, I'm like, I left my friends with something that they
Nice.
can grow with. And then when I go home, I want to do the same thing. So I have a lot of technicians that, unfortunately, I had to leave
Mhm.
that I miss I just miss my family a lot. And since right now, I'm not with my ex anymore. We're done. I'm like, all right, cool. Now, and my old lady now is like, yeah, let's go home. Let's go back. So I want to do the same thing there and just be back with my technicians and my family.
Okay.
None of my family's seen my baby yet, so they're super excited.
How old is she?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep.
Dang, dude. 2 weeks. That's fresh.
Yeah.
Heck
Yep.
yeah. Congratulations,
I think
man.
when we were doing your windshield, she was 2 days old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I poked at her name because
Yep.
Oh.
We
what
get
is
a
it?
name. It's Renesmee, which is from a movie series.
it's freaking it's Edward and Bella's baby
Oh,
thing.
yeah, I ain't never seen it, so that's
Yeah.
why I
Well, that's why she picked it.
Okay. All right.
It's Renesmee Grace Goodwin.
Okay.
We call her May May.
Okay.
My family calls her Grace. My grandmother can't even pronounce her first name. So, my dad was like, so it's Renee and Esme. Who's Renee and Esme? I'm like, no, Dad. I mean, technically, yes.
Yeah,
But
no.
No, it's no one in our, because my dad's like, we don't have any.
It's Edward's vampire mom
Yeah.
and Bella's mom.
I'm like, no, Dad. It's from a subpar movie series
Yeah.
for teenage girls.
Yeah. Fangirl.
But unfortunately,
Fangirl all over it.
my old lady is love those movies, and she had this name picked out way before we got together. And I was like, as long as I can name the boy, because I had my son's name picked out since I was younger.
Okay.
She's like, let me name the girl. I was like, you got it. And then I was like,
Well, now I gotta ask. What's the son's
We
name?
have
What
two.
do
We
you-
have two.
Okay.
Gabriel,
Okay.
Gavin, Goodwin. In my family, the son's middle name is the father's first name.
Okay.
My name's Gavin Scott Goodwin. My dad's Scott Stanley Goodwin.
Okay.
So on and so forth.
Gabriel, like
Gavin.
after the angel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
Awesome.
Grayson.
Okay.
Grayson. We've also like Atlas. I like Atlas.
Oh yeah.
Cool
I
name.
like Atlas, Gavin Goodwin.
Okay.
But I've always had Gabriel. Gabriel, like ever since I was a kid, it was Gabriel. Gavin Goodwin.
Or Edward Jacob. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Hers was it was Edward, I think. And I was like, no,
That ain't
we're not doing that.
Mm,
No, we're not doing that.
The only Edward I like is Edward Norton, and that's even
Yeah.
and that's even I don't even know if I like him that much, but
Right.
because he is who he is, I accept him as Edward.
I've never understood naming your baby after somebody. Like I get it, like if they're like, this guy saved my life.
Yeah,
But I'm like,
yeah, that'd be like me naming my baby.
Weird.
Dead
My
Dog.
question is, I have never seen a baby named Karen, but there's plenty of adults named Karen.
Yeah.
But who looks at a baby and like, that's a Karen?
or
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah, never met a baby.
Oh,
Paul
what's his
either.
name? Paul. Like, not in this generation or Ed.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Right.
your name like transforms into that
Yeah.
as you get old. You
Yeah,
know? It's
right.
like- it's like-
or even like Roberts. Like that's a common name, but I'm like, you just name yourself Dick.
yeah.
No, but Bob, Richard.
Well, it
Richard.
grows into Bob. It's like Bob's old.
Right.
Richard as a kid, and then you like morph into a Bob. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm like, and that's why I like I hated my name when I was younger, but like my name's Gab. I'm like Gab. Like that's a pretty good name. Like,
Yeah,
I can't-
it's all right.
G.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they called me Double G in school all the time, or food truck, and I'll never get over it. I call them like, hey, food truck. Actually, in the Marines, my nickname is Cupcake.
It's funny how they do that, man.
Yeah, that was nickname Cupcake.
I see Saving Private Ryan. Well, not they. It's gonna kill me. What's the one with Lee Emery in it? Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
Oh,
And how he went off the top of his head. Dude, that movie is just Private Snowflake or Private
Kyle,
Snow.
Private Kyle.
I'm like, oh my god, it's funny the way.
It's
It's funny.
okay.
Yep. Sorry.
If you could use one word to describe where you started to where you are now to where you could possibly be, what would that one word be? It has to be one word.
Inspiration, definitely.
Awesome. So this week,
I got it.
DoorDash's mission is to grow and empower local economies. They achieve this by connecting consumers with local businesses, providing flexible earning opportunities for delivery drivers, dashers, and enhancing convenience for customers. So it still works out because you live out in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
So it still works. $25, sir.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah, my mole would love that.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
Will you sign our table?
Absolutely.
That's the
All
last
right.
thing we
Thank
have.
you for coming
Yeah,
on.
shake hands on the camera.
All right. Bye, guys.
Yep. You guys wait.